The water was black and absolute, pressing against the windows like a living thing. I woke to the sensation of cold seeping through my clothes, my lungs already burning with the need for air I didn't yet realize I lacked. The car, my car, though I had no memory of it, tilted nose downward into the depths of some unseen lake, and through the windshield, the moon fractured into 1,000 silver ribbons that danced and rippled with each centimeter we sank. My hands moved before thought could catch up, fumbling for the seatbelt that held me prisoner. The buckle gave way with a click that sounded too loud in the confined space, and I floated upward. Or rather, the car sank downward while I remained momentarily suspended. The air pocket near the ceiling was shrinking fast, a bubble of life that would soon rejoin the atmosphere above a surface I might never reach. Instinct took over where memory failed. I kicked at the side window once, twice, feeling the pressure in my ears build to a painful crescendo. On the third strike, the glass surrendered in a silent implosion, and the lake rushed in to claim what remained of my sanctuary. The cold was a shock that erased everything else. No thoughts, no questions about how or why, just the primal drive to move upward through the darkness. Breaking the surface felt like being born into a world I didn't recognize. I gasped air that tasted of pine and gasoline, treading water while my mind grasped for context and found none. The shore was a black silhouette against a slightly less black sky, and I swam toward it with limbs that felt both foreign and familiar. Each stroke was a question my body answered without consulting my conscious mind. On solid ground, I collapsed onto gravel that bit into my palms. The night was quiet, except for my own ragged breathing and the distant sound of water lapping at the car's final resting place. I patted my pockets automatically and found a phone, its screen miraculously dry and glowing, with a notification that seemed to pulse with its own heartbeat. The lock screen showed a date, November 19th, and a time that meant nothing. My thumb pressed against the home button without conscious direction, and the device unlocked. No password, no security. As if I had wanted easy access to whatever waited inside. The Messages app showed a single conversation, and I opened it with fingers that trembled from cold or something deeper I couldn't name. The most recent message was from a number saved only as protocol, time-stamped 3 hours earlier. Third attempt unsuccessful. Subject extracted from vehicle at 0247. Memory suppression holding at 99.7%. Recommend immediate extraction and evaluation before next cycle initiation. I scrolled upward, my eyes scanning words that made less sense the more I read. Payment confirmed for procedure 7B, mnemonic suppression with conditional retrieval trigger. Drowning protocol designed to activate suppressed pathways through extreme stress response. Client insists on 3 attempts maximum before considering alternative approaches. The sender was me, my own number, my own words, arranged in sentences that felt like they belonged to someone else's life. I had paid, how much the messages didn't say, for someone to carve out pieces of my mind and hide them behind a wall that only near death could breach. And I had failed 3 times to break through that wall. A photo in the gallery showed a face I assumed was mine, though the reflection in the dark water had been too distorted to confirm. I looked ordinary. Brown hair, eyes that might have been hazel or green, a scar above the left eyebrow that I didn't remember acquiring. The background of the photo was a clinical white room with equipment that suggested medical intervention rather than vacation memories. The phone's notes app contained a single entry dated 3 months earlier. If you're reading this, it worked, or it didn't. Either way, you won't remember writing it. The procedure is supposed to help you forget what you saw, what you couldn't stop. They say the drowning will bring it back, but maybe that's just another lie we tell ourselves. Maybe some things should stay buried. If you're alive, you have a choice to make. If you're not, well, third time's the charm, they say. Sirens cut through the night, growing louder as red and blue lights painted the trees in unnatural colors. I considered running, but my legs refused the command, and what would be the point? I didn't know where I was, who I was running from, or what I was running toward. The phone felt heavy in my hand, weighted with secrets I had chosen to forget and now might never recover. The paramedics found me sitting on the shore, shivering despite the blanket they wrapped around my shoulders. They asked questions I couldn't answer. My name, what happened, was anyone else in the vehicle? I opened my mouth and closed it again. The truth too bizarre and incomplete to share with strangers who operated in a world of cause and effect, of logical sequences that made sense. At the hospital, they treated me for hypothermia and mild water aspiration. A nurse with kind eyes and a practical manner took the phone for safekeeping, promising to return it once I was settled. I watched her walk away with the only link to a past I had intentionally destroyed, feeling the loss as acutely as if she had taken a limb. The doctor, who eventually entered my room, was younger than I expected, with the tired look of someone who had seen too many impossible cases. She introduced herself as Dr. Chen and sat in the chair beside my bed without asking permission. Her first question wasn't about the accident or my physical condition. "Do you remember why you chose the water?" she asked, her voice quiet enough that it felt like a secret between us. I shook my head, the movement slow and deliberate. "I don't remember anything. The phone, my phone, had messages. I paid for a procedure, something about memory suppression." She nodded, as if this confirmed something she already knew. "The protocol was your idea, though we advised against it. You were very specific about the parameters. 3 attempts, no more. You said if 3 near-death experiences couldn't bring it back, then maybe your mind was trying to protect you for a reason." The words hung in the air between us, heavy with implications I couldn't fully grasp. I had engineered my own amnesia, designed my own potential demise, and set the terms of my forgetting with a clarity I no longer possessed. The question wasn't what had happened to me, but what I had done to myself, and why any memory could be worth dying 3 times to either recover or escape. The room they moved me to was private, paid for in advance according to the chart at the foot of the bed. Dr. Chen returned after I had slept, if the blank stretch of time could be called sleep, though I had no dreams to show for it. She carried a leather-bound journal that looked worn at the edges, as if it had been handled often and with urgency. "This is yours," she said, placing it on the rolling table that spanned my lap. "You left it with us after the first attempt, instructed us to give it to you after the third, regardless of outcome." The cover was blank, unmarked. I opened it to find pages filled with my own handwriting, though the script varied, sometimes tight and controlled, other times sprawling across the lines as if written in haste or distress. The entries were dated, but the dates made no sense. They spanned 3 months, but the same 3 months repeated: July, August, September, then July again, then once more. The first entry was clinical, detached. Procedure successful. Memory suppression at 98%, identity protocols intact. I know my name, my social security number, my address, but I don't know why I wake up screaming or why the smell of gasoline makes me vomit. The doctors say this is normal. They say the trigger will work. Later entries grew more fragmented. Second attempt. Woke in the car. Same lake, same moon. Managed to break the window faster this time, but the memories still won't come, just flashes, a voice, a feeling of absolute failure. Dr. Chen says we're running out of time. The mind can't keep doing this. Something about neural pathways and permanent damage. The most recent entry, dated yesterday, though I had no memory of writing it, was different. The handwriting was nearly illegible, pressed so hard into the paper that it left indentations on the next 3 pages. I saw what happened, not during the drowning, after in the hospital. A fragment came through. I was there, but I wasn't alone. Someone else was supposed to be safe. I was supposed to make sure they were safe, and I didn't. I couldn't. The procedure isn't about forgetting what I saw. It's about forgetting that I failed, that I stood there and watched and did nothing while someone The sentence ended mid-word as if the writer had been interrupted or had simply run out of strength to continue. Dr. Chen watched me read, her expression carefully neutral. The memory you're trying to recover, or suppress depending on the day, involves a workplace incident. You were a safety inspector at a chemical plant. There was an accident. You were the last person to see your partner before the containment breach. You couldn't have known what would happen. You couldn't have stopped it. But the human mind doesn't always accept logical limitations when someone we care about is involved. The fragments in the journal began to make terrible sense. Not a crime, but a failure to prevent. Not violence I had committed, but violence I'd witnessed and felt responsible for. The partner, just a colleague, or something more. The journal didn't say, and perhaps my previous self had been too careful or too ashamed to commit those details to paper. "You're not a criminal," Dr. Chen continued, her voice taking on a firmer quality. "You're a witness who couldn't bear the weight of what you saw. The procedure you designed was meant to give you a choice. Each cycle you could decide whether to remember or forget. But the choice is only meaningful if you can actually make it. Right now you're just stuck." She laid out the options as if reading from a menu I had written myself. Option 1, attempt the protocol again, but with modifications. Direct neural stimulation, more invasive, higher risk of permanent damage. Option 2, accept the amnesia as permanent and begin reconstruction with therapy and synthetic memories. Option 3, walk away from both the past and the facility. Start fresh somewhere no one knew about the procedure or the cycles, and simply live with the gap where those months should be. "The third option is what you said you wanted after the second attempt," she told me. "You said if the mind wants to forget, we should let it. But then you always come back. You always pay for another cycle." I turned the journal's pages, watching my own handwriting shift and change across iterations of the same decision. In some entries, I was determined to remember, to face whatever horror had driven me to this extreme. In others, I begged my future self to let it go, to accept the blank slate as a gift rather than a prison. The only constant was the lake, the car, the water that was supposed to be both death and rebirth, but had become neither. A memory surfaced, not a full scene, but a sensation. The weight of someone's hand on my shoulder, the smell of industrial cleaner and something else, something sweet and wrong underneath it. A voice saying, "It's not your fault." But the words felt like a lie even as they were spoken. The fragments were pieces of a puzzle I had deliberately scattered, and now I couldn't tell if assembling them would bring peace or just more pain. Dr. Chen stood to leave, pausing at the door. "The cycle breaks when you decide it breaks. Not your past self, not the version of you that wrote that journal. You, right now. The man who survived 3 drownings and still has enough sense to question whether remembering is worth a 4th. Alone with the journal and the phone that had been returned to me, I scrolled through messages sent by a person I used to be. Photos of a life I didn't recognize, an apartment I supposedly lived in, a job site with equipment I couldn't name, a group photo where everyone smiled except me, my gaze fixed on something just out of frame. The diaries described 3 months of living with a ghost memory, of waking each day with the certainty that something important was missing and the terror that it might return. The screen dimmed, reflecting my face back at me. I looked the same as the man in the photos, but older somehow, worn down by attempts to erase and recover what might be better left buried. The journal lay open to the final incomplete sentence, the word "someone," hanging like a cliff I could either climb or walk away from. Outside the window, dawn was breaking over a city I might have known in another life. The lake that had tried to claim me 3 times over glimmered in the distance, indifferent to the drama playing out on its shores. I could choose to go back, to let the water try one more time to unlock what I had hidden. I could choose to let doctors probe my brain with electricity and hope. Or I could choose to close the journal, delete the messages, and walk out of this room as someone new, someone unburdened by a past that had driven me to such extremes. The phone buzzed with a new message from the same number. Cycle complete, awaiting instructions for next phase. My thumb hovered over the keyboard. The choice felt impossible, weighted by lives I couldn't remember and deaths I might have prevented. But it was my choice, made by the man who had survived, not the one who had forgotten. And in that moment, I understood the true cruelty of the protocol I had designed. It wasn't meant to recover memories. It was meant to force me to decide, once and for all, whether I was strong enough to carry them. The cursor blinked, waiting for an answer I wasn't sure I had.